right? Crucial, right? So we can just identify, going around.
Okay, so Chess Alliance principal to Martin Forest RC Crucial.
Bernadette Samuel, active principal, Westerhall Secondary School.
Okay, good.
Ingrid Francis, Nativity Catholic Denham.
Okay, yes.
Amen. Tam CC.
Kishon Noel, I'm representing my principal from Wesley College.
Okay, good.
I'm Christopher Belfon, acting principal GDS.
Yes. And this is the guy in the white?
Matt Roberts,
Yes.
teacher but representing Chessboard.
Yes.
Bogota.
Yes. I'm very happy to see you, Mr. Belfon. Good, good. Yes, I just spoke with Mr. Jeremiah. So he did say that there will be representatives from college and he expected other schools too to be represented. But we don't want to start too late. So we'll start off now. So on the head table, we have to my left, the man of the moment, Leontxo, though it's spelled TXO. I was guided by Junior early that the TXO is Cho. So Leontxo Garcia of Spain, and he is a chess and education expert. And of course, to my right is Carly Green, Junior. And Junior is the vice president of the Grenada Chess Association, and in fact is primarily responsible for having Leontxo with us, as Junior just attended in Chennai, India, the FIDE Congress. And FIDE means the International Chess Federation. And Ferguson, President, Grenada Chess Federation. So just a bit of background. The Grenada Chess Federation was launched in 2019. We were very fortunate to have a grandmaster. And when we speak of grandmasters, those are the top players in the world. That's in a special category of their own. And we had a grandmaster, then vice president of the International Chess Federation, coming to Grenada to of chess, as I say. And he came to Grenada. We had a meeting of chess players, and basically the rest is history. Grandmaster Short was once the third highest ranking several years before. So he was instrumental, together with the Jamaica Chess Federation, in assisting us in establishing a Grenada Chess Federation. So what followed, we had elections, we prepared and adopted a constitution, and we applied for membership of FIDE, as the International Chess Federation, and we became members, a full member of FIDE in February 2020. From then to now, we have been engaged mainly in, as we say, bringing chess nationwide. And among our signature events over the last 3 years, summer camps for the kids, mainly focusing on kids. And again, in this very hall, thanks to the cooperation of Ministry of Education officials and GBSS and Mr. Belfon, who is here, we were able to utilize this hall in 2020 and 2021 to do summer camps. And of course, COVID affected us somewhat, and there was a slowing down. In fact, I remember distinctly the day we were supposed to launch a club in Guelph, initiated by Junior, a club in Guelph that very evening, the Friday evening, it was a Saturday, there was a lockdown. And so we have not launched it as yet, but that of course is in the works. So Leontxo here is, he has traveled throughout the world to promote this chess in education. But I think it's 31 countries now. 31 countries.
Grenada is the 101.
Oh, 101. Right. But he has trained. He has trained. Yes, he has trained
30,000 school teachers
over
in about 30
30,000
countries.
in about 30 countries. Right? 30,000 teachers in the chess in education concept. And he is unique from several perspectives because he's approaching chess not as a competitive sport, that's one aspect of it, but as a teaching tool, a teaching method for teaching any subject, including maths, history, social sciences, so he'll tell you more about that. But just one more thing I want to say about him, he is a chess lecturer, he's a chess journalist. In fact, one of the things I noted on the CV is that he received the Best Journalist Award from the European Chess Federation, and he has done live commentary on chess throughout tournaments, the Olympiad and other top tournaments. So at first to see how chess commentary goes. Sometimes the game takes 5 hours, 6 hours, and he's commentating. So he's unique in that regard. He has been a journalist for over 30 years. So may I take the pleasure to introduce him to the principals and teachers. We wanted to have a special session with principals and teachers based on the program, what we want to do next as far as spreading chess nationwide. So over to you, Leontxo.
Thank you very much, President Ferguson. Thank you, Carlyle. And thanks especially to you. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk for 6 hours, as President Ferguson said.
5 is enough.
Now, seriously speaking, our common factor of all of us, I think, is passion for education. So probably your life nowadays is not inviting to think. I think, I'm afraid, I don't know if you agree, that every day more and more people are thinking less and less in the whole world, mainly because of the bad use of social networks, but there are other reasons. So it looks like a great moment to promote a game that teaches you how to think. Education agreed on that idea, and several high officials who were with him as well. And let me also underline that chess is now in fashion in many countries because 2 reasons. First, it's the only sport you can practice through the internet, and during the lockdown, millions of people all over the world started to play chess online. And secondly, I don't know how popular it was in Grenada, the Netflix series Queen's Gambit is one of the most successful series in the history of Netflix. Both reasons together have put chess in fashion all over the world. Now, let's go to the core. This screen summarizes more than a century of both scientific research and long international experiences. The general conclusion will be those children who are playing chess, or even better, I will explain you later on why it's better. Even better, those children who are using chess as an educational tool in the curriculum are developing more their intelligence than the others in different branches, including I don't have to explain to you how important that is today. And they are also improving their rates generally, but mainly in maths and reading comprehension. Probably for you there is a logical connection between chess and maths. But why reading? What is the connection between chess and reading? I think there are two connections. First, among the very long list of skills you can develop through chess, concentration is one of the most evident ones. If you are very concentrated when you are reading, you are understanding better what you are reading. The other one is more sophisticated, but I think it's also very interesting. Our mental process is quite similar when we are reading and when we are playing chess. In both cases, we are recognizing signs, letters, pieces of different value, color, and size. We are associating those signs, creating words and sentences, creating combinations of moves, and we are getting conclusions, meaning of this sentence. Who has advantage in this position, white or black, and why? A human being who is used to do this frequently because he's playing chess often, most likely is going to transfer that skill to other fields of his or her life, because that mental process is automatized when you are doing that frequently. Now, you know, of course, that Howard Gardner is one of the most prominent psychologists in the world. He's from Harvard University, and is very famous for his theory of we have multiple intelligences, not only one. Okay, we can say categorically that chess develops at least 6 out of 9, and it could be 8 if you use chess with very small kids from 2 to 5 years old, preschool, as I'm going to show you in a few minutes' time. So 8 out of 9. Now, and on top of that, chess suits very well with the 21st century, because as I told you, it is the only sport you can practice through the internet. And, well, let me underline the last two. Self-criticism is really important in my opinion. If I play Ruggles, for instance, and he beats me, then the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I congratulate him for beating me, I will wonder, why did I lose? What was my mistake? What shall I do next time to avoid a similar kind of mistake? Because in chess, you cannot blame the arbiter or it's raining or whatever. I mean, chess is not a random game. If you lose, that means you have played worse than your opponent, period. Again, that will be transferred to other fields of my life, because if every time I play a game, even when I am winning, I am self-critic, then my brain becomes self-critic in any other kind of situation. And flexible thinking, well, in the last 25 years, the world has changed as much or even more than any other 25-year period in the history of humankind. And according to the experts, in the next 25 years, is going to change even more and faster. So adapting yourself to a very changing reality is already today one of the most important skills you can have. And chess also develops that. In my hypothetical game with Ruggles, along several hours, just one move from him or from me is going to force both of us to change the evaluation of the whole position. But remember that the clock is ticking. So I cannot say, as his last move has changed everything, I'm going to think for an hour now. You have just few minutes or even few seconds. So you have to be fast. Again, I think this is one of the most important skills you can have today. So, just to underline that we are talking about something really serious, the European Parliament took the decision of recommending chess as an educational tool in 2012. Let me underline that in order to get 415 votes, you need members from the extreme left to the extreme right. Otherwise, you cannot get such a big number. And the Spanish Parliament took a similar decision 3 years later. I'd like to make a joke with this. I talk about this saying that was the miracle at the Spanish Parliament. Because in Spain, if all political parties with no exception agree on something, this is a miracle. I was tempted to call the Vatican that after. Then, but in Spain, the education competencies are transferred to the regional government. So that decision was not compulsory. However, in only 3 years, 10 out of our 17 regions already introduced chess in the curriculum. Somehow, I will let you know how in a few seconds. Before that, let me show you just a kind of summary of how educational chess in the theoretically, but in my opinion only theoretically, the best example will be Armenia and very soon Georgia, because in those countries chess is compulsory, it's a compulsory subject in all schools. But, a very big but, in those countries chess as a sport is as popular as football. It's the national passion. So I do not think this is a realistic model for the rest of the world. But the second group of countries, or let's say territories, provinces or regions of different countries, those are labeled by the International Chess Federation as models of good practices for the rest of the world. And the method they are using is the one I'm going to explain now. In the third group, you have some countries like Cuba, where chess as a sport is very massively introduced in a school, and they are models of that model, of that method, but not about educational chess. Actually, 3 months ago, I had a meeting with the Minister of Education in Cuba, and she is now designing a plan to develop chess as well as an educational tool, not only as a sport. Now, when I get to this point, several times the audience and several ministers in different countries interrupt me to ask the million-dollar question, which is, okay, I am convinced, but now tell me, what I'm going to take out from the curriculum to put chess instead? And the answer is nothing. Because you can use chess in a transversal way together, sorry, this is running too much. In a transversal way together with emotional intelligence, which as you know is transversal to all subjects, or interdisciplinary. You can use chess with math, with language, with physical education, technology, history. Chess has more than 15 centuries of documented history. So you can explain the universal history and the history of chess in a parallel way. Can you imagine how many hundreds of fascinating characters can you find in 1500 years of history? Now, let me show you some very concrete examples. You see that photo? One day that photo was taken, the relationship between those girls and boys was awful. They were fighting each other in the classroom and so on. On the floor, you see a chessboard. There are many pieces on the board. They have 1 minute to remember where every piece is, in which square. They are working as a team. The one in the red t-shirt is the captain, and he has distributed the work. You have to remember all the white pawns, all the black pawns, all the bishops, all the knights, etc. And they are competing to other similar groups in the same classroom. After 4 or 5 days doing that, the relationship improved dramatically because they need each other. They are working as a team. This is just an application of this scientific study published in Spanish and English, made by the La Laguna University in the Tenerife Island. The study had 2 parts. The first one was comparing extracurricular chess students, students who play chess in extracurricular hours, with students who were playing football or basketball at the same time. Please note that football and basketball are team sports. If we are going to measure emotional intelligence, we could think that a team sport is better than an individual sport. However, the result was the opposite. The chess players were significantly better. Can you read that from your position? Or shall I read it for you? Okay.
Good relationship with teachers, taste for study, respect for the rules, social skills, make decisions.
In those fields, the chess players were significantly better than basketball and football players. Therefore, the scientists organized a second part of the study. Now, forget about football and basketball. Now we have 3 groups. Group A are students who are using chess as a pedagogical tool. Group B are students who just play chess. And Group C is control group, no connection to chess at all. The result was both A and B were significantly better than C, but A was clearly better than B, which means just playing chess can be very educational. But using chess as a pedagogical tool is significantly better from the pedagogical point of view. Now, you are going to see very quickly a collection of photos of how my professional partner, Lorena, is using chess together with emotional intelligence. She is probably the biggest expert in the world about chess and emotional intelligence. She is a psychopedagogist, a researcher, 30 years experience as a school teacher, and the director of the Canary Island Educational Chess Program, which is one of the best in the world. You see the title of the program, Educating Little People, Not Champions. You create some chess corners, like these ones, or here they are using chess interdisciplinary with English as a foreign language, because of course the original language, their mother language is Spanish. Now, you take chess out of the conventions. Forget about the orthodox chess, the conventional chess, forget about white and black, forget about everything. We are not talking about chess anymore. We are talking about innovative education. So we take chess out of the classroom to the playground, to the breaks, etc. Those are the concepts that Lorena is working through chess. Maybe the smaller one here says self-control, and probably you can read the other ones, right?
Cannot? Good second. Yeah. Good.
By working through these concepts, you can solve many kind of problems, like these ones. Self-esteem, expressing wishes and opinions, solving problems related to others, school problems, emotional discomfort, etc. Well, I don't have to explain to you that the essential element for learning is emotion. And now, as I told you, creativity. Forget about conventions, about white and black, about the orthodox way to play chess. The students are creating their own chess sets. For instance, with Mickey Mouse, or as football is extremely popular in Spain, sometimes the school teachers are incentivate the students to use football player faces as chess pieces in order to motivate them. You can see what things they are doing. And forget about chess only for 2 people. It could be for 4 players as well. Taking chess to the gymnasium. Here, this is interesting. As you can see, the ones who are playing black are far away from the chessboard. Why? In order to work on the first impulse control. Since they have their first idea about what piece to move, what move to make, they have a few seconds to change their mind while they get physically to the board to make the move. The initial shaking hands is very important, and at the end as well. You can also work in different positions. Mixed ages in the same school. For instance, here the younger one is teaching the older one. Here you have a combination, interesting combination between chess and robotics. Here you have a blind boy teaching chess to a non-blind boy in a special chessboard for blind people. This is interesting. The boy and the girl on the left are in the same t-shirt in order to stimulate team spirit. According to the school teacher's experience, this works very well before puberty, but not after puberty. Now, maths. Suppose today you are not principals or school teachers, you are the students. I am the school teacher. I am asking you, is the chessboard symmetric? Yes, somebody disagrees? Look at the corners. If the corners have a different color, I'm afraid there is no symmetry. So, actually, the right answer is it depends. It depends on what? The axis. If the axis is horizontal or vertical, there is no symmetry. But if the axis is diagonal, there is a symmetry. I have explained a quiet complex concept in less than a minute using only an empty chessboard, which means you don't need to know anything about chess to do this. That's why the workshops we are giving to start a pilot experience in any country take 10, 12 hours, and after that the school teachers can start already to work like this. Sorry, this is running automatically, I don't know why. You can use chess also to work on fractions, on an empty board, continuous and discontinuous examples, quarters, halves, eighths. You can complicate this as much as you need as a teacher. You can work on abstract intelligence by replacing numbers by pieces initials. If the rook's value is 5 and the queen's is 10 and the knight is 3, 5 plus 10 plus 3 is 18, and again you can complicate this as much as you need from the pedagogical point of view. Or you can work with symbols instead of initials. In both cases, you are working on the abstract intelligence. Now, history. Suppose I am a history teacher and today I am getting up quite worried. Because today I have to explain, which is one of the most important moments in the history of humankind. But if I start talking to my students about Robespierre, Diderot, Voltaire, Rousseau, the philosophers, the writers, and so on, I'm afraid they are going to have a siesta during my class. Then I invite them to travel to Paris in the second half of the 18th century. And I invite them to go to Le Café de la Régence. This is Le Café de la Régence. The most important intellectuals and chess players among them were gathering every day. You cannot distinguish it, but here we have about 6 people around a chess table with a chessboard there. They are playing chess, and one of them here, he is blindfolded. I will not explain to my students yet why is he blindfolded. I will first introduce him. He is Mr. Philidor, considered a brilliant music composer, and during my class I will play some music from Philidor, which is very high quality music, and then I will explain why is he blindfolded. Because he was able to play 5 simultaneous games blindfold for several hours. Every piece, in which square every piece is for several hours. My students are quite impressed already, as I suppose you are as well. But then I will say, but this is nothing, you know, because today the world record on simultaneous blindfold games is, be careful, you can fall down from your chair now, is 48 games simultaneously during 25 hours in a row, memorizing where is every piece in every board. So this is the human limit today. My students are already hallucinating. And then I will say, Mr. Philidor wrote a very important sentence. He said, pawns are the soul of chess. This is important from the strategy point of view, but why I'm telling you this today, do you realize when did he say that? He said that few years before, the pawns of the French society participated in a revolution getting freedom and human rights. That revolution was exported later on to other countries, mainly the USA, and is one of the milestones in the history of humanity. And only now my students are ready to talk about Robespierre, Diderot, Rousseau, Voltaire, and so on. Or, if you have to explain the Cold War, I was looking for other examples, but I was unable to find a better one than this one. In 1972, the nuclear war was a very big risk. Fortunately, it didn't happen, and that's why it's called the Cold War. But the tension was very big between the two biggest countries in the world, the Soviet Union and the USA. So the most possible symbolic thing to happen was a chess world championship between Boris Spassky from the Soviet Union and Bobby Fischer from the USA. This match was first page news during 3 months in the majority of newspapers all over the world. Because in the Soviet Union, chess was a national passion and was also a window to supposedly demonstrate the intellectual superiority of communism over capitalism. So for the White House, it was very important that Fischer is beating Spassky in order to throw a torpedo against the propaganda, the communist propaganda system. Fischer won, and well, I have a lecture only about this, but what I want to mention right now is that this is the best example, the best weapon you can have to explain the Cold War. Now, welcome to a marvelous, lovely world, the preschool. Some people, when they see that it says 2 to 5 years old in that screen, they think that I pretend the 2-year-old children to play a whole chess game. I'm not so crazy, don't worry. But I do say categorically that the level of satisfaction among the ladies, school teachers, but mainly ladies at this age, who are using chess as a pedagogical tool with those children is over 90% level of satisfaction. They think that chess and music are the two best tools they can have with these children. This is Bogota in Colombia. On the right-hand photo, the left person is Adriana Salazar. She's applying to chess the Harvard University Innovative Education theories for the last 30 years. As you can see, it is very important to have the giant chessboard on the floor. You invite children to play around, and you combine chess with music. Here they are starting to work on the diagonal concept. Here she is using puppets. Here 3D chessboards, 2D chessboards, wall chessboards, table chessboards, and so on. When the children are used to the music, then Adriana adds some lyrics to the music. The lyrics teach you how to move a pawn. When they already have learned this, Adriana goes to Ruggles, who is a 3-year-old boy. And she says, Ruggles, you are a pawn. And as you are, as you are so brave, you only go forward. You never go back, only forward. This is your column. You cannot go to that column or to that one. Only this is your column. And the last thing I have to tell you before you have a lot of fun with your colleagues is that you cannot make a move whenever you want, because every time you make a move, you have to wait until somebody else replies to you. By working in such a very simple way, you are working in all these pedagogical, very important goals. Seriation and classification since 2 years old, and then from 3 years old, laterality, psychomotricity, attention, concentration, memory, diagonal, horizontal, vertical, respect for the rules and the opponent, first impulse control, and more. I selected just 10. Of course, this is a very important contribution of chess to the high quality education, but not only that. Let's be pragmatic. If you do this, that means that at 6 years old, when they are getting to primary school, 100% of children are already alphabetized in chess. Therefore, it will be quite easy to keep working with chess as a transversal and interdisciplinary tool in primary and later in secondary. Finally, I'm going to show you very quickly 2 screens, just to underline that chess is working very well with special needs children and adults as well. In some cases of both screens, we have scientific evidence of chess working very well with these people. In some other cases, we have long international experiences, long enough and serious enough to say that chess is working really well. I am going to change the screen, but if you have some specific question, I will do my best to answer. Well, in this second screen, let me double underline the first one. We have scientific evidence to say that chess is the best gymnasium of the mind to delay brain aging and Alzheimer's. The most important scientific study was made by the Albert Einstein Institute in New York. It took 21 years observing 460 people. And, well, those people were divided in many groups. Some of them were learning foreign languages or playing musical instruments, going to the gymnasium, participating in debates. What they were measuring was the cognitive reserve, which is a deposit we have in our brain. The fuller it is, the more protected we are against Alzheimer's or other dementias. The chess players got the best results, followed by the bridge players, and perhaps I have good news for many of you, the third best group were the dancers, because dancing requires a very good coordination between your brain and the rest of the body. And the leader of that scientist group, Dr. Verghese, gave an interview to the Washington Post, and he said, very soon our doctor will recommend us a daily chess game and a daily crossword, plus a balanced diet and frequent physical exercise. This is the last screen. If I say this, this is not important, but look at who is saying this. The principal of a very prominent private school in Spain, where they are using chess in a transversal and interdisciplinary way for the last 24 years. There is no other activity as powerful as chess in preschool or primary because of the number of neuronal connections it produces, and internet teaches you all the rivers and lakes of the world, but chess teaches how to think. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions.
Okay, you have heard it, so the floor is open. And Leontxo is ready to receive your questions and comments. Any questions? I noted he started from the chessboard without even having the pieces and using the board itself as an educational tool. Yes.
Thank you,
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you for this wonderful, interesting, relevant presentation. I had a question on chess and values, chess and values. Could you just expand a bit on how chess helps the student to incorporate human values in their daily lives?
Well, chess is like life, actually. So practically every situation you can get in your life, you can think about that situation in chess terms. For instance, your strong points, your weak points. The plan, you are going to establish a plan, but the plan has several paths. What's the right order of that plan? The discipline following the plan. The flexibility. Sometimes while you are trying to implement the plan, something important changes. And then you have to start again and to adapt yourself to the new situation. The time control. You have to deal, to manage the time. Time management is one of the big things you are implementing or developing through chess. I mean, the list is extremely long. Concentration, of course. Knowing how to lose and how to win. Your behavior after winning and losing. The list is really very long.
Thank you.
More questions?
Amen. Any questions?
How accessible are chess sets here in Grenada? And for people like us who might be novice, how do you get started?
Yes, we should probably ask the question. Anybody here? I know Amen, of course, and Jenna, but anyone here plays chess or knows about the game and about the pieces? Okay, yes.
I would who follow the Chess Federation.
Yeah, in the back.
Yes, okay, at the back, right. What we intend to do, because Leontxo's visit is just for a week, we are fortunate to have him because you hear more about these concepts in Spanish and other languages. So for example, Leontxo has, how many videos you did? It's 362 videos. You were doing some pieces. I know himself and Gary Kasparov did some pieces.
My
yes.
series of videos.
Right, Passion for Chess. Is that in
No,
English?
this is different. What I did with Kasparov was 64 videos.
64 videos.
Right.
But you mentioned...
No, 24 videos.
Right, but you mentioned something about 362.
The Immortals Corner is a collection of videos. I'm publishing one every Monday, and before yesterday, I published the number 363.
Okay, right. So, because that issue came out of our meeting last night, how do we get materials on the subject matter? What some syllabus, for example, a template for a syllabus, most of it, and I suspect that will change after Leontxo leaves Grenada to cater for the English world. because he's based in Spain. Yes, and there's a website on FIDE, a FIDE website, that we will gather the materials and distribute it. But what we want to do after this visit, because we don't want the value of the trip to be lost, so we have targeted 5 secondary schools to establish chess clubs and to work with these chess clubs to supply the chess sets and to supply the trainers for these to teach. Both teachers and students help to form the clubs and maintain the clubs, maintain interest, probably do competitions, tournaments and so. Actually, Amen here, Kwabena, he is the chairperson of the committee for schools and communities, promoting chess in schools and communities. So tomorrow, for example, in Croshow, we don't want everything to be centered in St. George's. So we'll do a special session with the Croshow School tomorrow and target the Croshow School and the Spring School, where Leontxo did a session yesterday, to form chess clubs there. And any other school that is interested, because we are just focusing, is exposing the concept, and once the school is interested in it, then we will work with the school as Grenada Chess Federation. We will get materials from him, get from FIDE, and we have the connection with him now. We can actually get materials to start something.
Let me add something. 4 months ago, I went to Cameroon in Central Africa to give a 4 days workshop, 4 hours every day. It was from Monday to Thursday. On Monday, just starting saying hello, I realized that 98% of the school teachers I was training know how to play chess. They didn't know what chess is. Next day, after only 4 hours with me at the workshop, one of them was using chess in an interdisciplinary way with reading. 2 days later, 2 of them were using chess to work psychomotricity in preschool. Just 2 days after, 8 hours of workshop were enough to do this. You have to distinguish between being a top grandmaster, which is extremely difficult, or using chess as a pastime, which is extremely easy because you only need a couple of hours to know the basic rules, or using chess as an educational tool after 12 or 14 workshops. Somebody who likes running in the beach and a marathon professional. Both of them are runners, yes, but what they are doing is absolutely different, right? So don't be afraid, because I know not only in Grenada, everywhere in the world, more than 90% of people think that chess is something very complicated only for very intelligent people. This is not true. If we are talking about what we are talking today, if we are talking about top chess, this is another story.
And which the Grenada Chess Federation, what we want to focus, well, not just focus, deal with the 2 streams. Because you have chess as a competitive sport. And you have the Olympiad, just as you have Olympics every 4 years. There's a chess Olympiad, The last one was actually in India, Chennai, India. But we didn't have a team, we didn't prepare a team. But Junior attended the actual FIDE Congress where he met Leontxo. However, we have pledged after this not to lose an opportunity to play tournaments. And Jenard here, who is a teacher at the Bogota Secondary School, for dealing to develop the players for tournaments. Those are the competition people. So that's the chess in sport component. And then we have the general learn to play chess, developing an interest in chess, having chess clubs in parishes. For example, in Guelph, there's basically a club that has not been formally launched yet. And have it in schools, and you do friendly competitions. Because that has to work hand in hand with education, chess in education and chess in sport, in a sense, should work hand in hand as far as our goals. But we'll have different people focusing on different areas. So hopefully, everybody here would learn to play chess, and I see Amen passing around the register. So you can have a session just teaching, going the knobs, the 16 pieces, the objective of the game, these things. Because I'm sure if you know the game, then you'll be able to teach it even better, more effectively.
Well, yes, because you have a lot of creativity. I mean, you have a lot of professional knowledge. You are professionals of pedagogy, and your creativity is very high. So once we teach you I just give you some ideas about how to use chess creativity and your professional knowledge and create your own method. Sorry, you were going to ask something.
No, I am. Thank you for the presentation, because I am really interested in having that competition or having the club at my school, because I think I can see how we can help curb a lot of the disciplinary problems. So I wanted to find out, how do I get started? What about rules? What about teaching the students the game, the knobs, the whatever you call those things? Because they are particularly interested, and I think it can be of great value to the students at my school.
You say it's a secondary school?
Yes, I'm at the secondary school.
In secondary school you can work, well, you know much better than me what you can do, but just as suggestions.
Yes.
Critical thinking, flexible thinking,
yes.
decisions making process. So there are many important fields where you can work through chess. Secondary school.
Yeah, so we certainly, I'm actually very happy to hear that, because again, I always, with my own involvement in chess, because it's something that I remember since 2015, there was a colleague who came to Grenada to try to do exactly this. He was the president of the Jamaica Chess Federation. And what really got me personally, because he was a lawyer, when he made the point that in Jamaica, what they tried to do is to use chess to get kids away from violent behavior. And in the first 10 years of the Jamaica Chess Federation, they had 50,000 new players in Jamaica. Right? And that is, you're talking about working with these kids over a period of time. And it's not just about playing the game and winning, which, everybody has this competitive edge. It's good, yes, but it teaches much more than that. Because, for example, I've been playing chess for decades. Yes. And junior, that time there was no club or anything, but there was a group of us.
No internet.
Yes, nothing.
No cable TV.
Yes, but we played chess almost every day during the summer holidays. Just almost every day. a group of us. And but this is about taking chess now to a different level. We're not just playing it. You know, you're playing and you're winning. You have bragging rights if you win. This is really about taking it to a different level.
I wanted to say something on in response to what we do next. We have a plan between now and December. We plan to visit X amount of schools in each assembly, do a little workshop, chess sets or so with a responsible teacher, and set up a chess club, which we mentor and schools in each parishes, and eventually in phases over the next few years. By 5 years' time, we should have a chess club in every school in Grenada. So that's the basic idea we're going to try. So from the contacts that you leave here, thank you for putting your contacts. We could begin with the people who attended this session.
I think so. I think you should primarily begin with the persons who showed interest.
Yes.
Because I came here with the same mindset that my colleague here is sharing. That I want to transform the behavior at my school. I want children to find ways to spend their spare time meaningfully, not just with this little gadget in their hand and not thinking. So I really would appreciate if we could just start, get started, not wait on persons who are, making up their minds, but those who really have the passion to change that status quo in the school where students are just idle and not doing anything.
No, I think we are extremely happy to hear that, because the only reason with Springs, for example, Springs and Crochet, I was referred by more than one person to Mr. Lance and Mr. Adams as proactive principals, and I reached out to them, and I saw why, because they immediately embraced the idea and so. So, but we are happy, and that's why we want to identify places that we can do pilot projects. We can't do it in every secondary school, but certainly we'll start off in the schools, primary and secondary, that show interest, because I think we have sufficient numbers to be able to go out and do the teaching and the training. So so that's not an issue at all, and we can use here as the starting point. I don't think we got the schools from this side. Yes.
Grenada SDA Comprehensive.
Right, SDA. That's in Archibald Avenue. Oh, St. Patrick SDA. Sorry.
SAS, St. Andrew.
Oh, SAS. Yes. Right. Because we
That's
targeted.
That's two people. We
Yes.
want to get to St. Patrick's and St. Andrews.
Yes,
Precisely.
because I was sitting here whispering to God that
Yes.
I'm looking at this schedule here and I'm not seeing any school.
In St. Patrick and St. Andrew. You reach as far as Crochet, but sometimes Crochet associates with St. David instead of St. Andrew.
Yes.
We're going to be ready in December. By December we should.
And we're ready and we're willing, we're excited about the program.
Let's fingers crossed.
Once we have the contacts, be assured, because again we want to. This whole thing is about, as Leontxo made the point, is about integrating chess into the culture of society. Because he was making a point last night, I didn't hear him make it today in those terms. But chess contributes to a more stable world. In that light, and whichever country, it will contribute towards a more stable country, hopefully. And we want to move it from being an elite game that just these few people play and people feel. People with special brains and long beard like Mr. Amen, looking like Aristotle and these guys. Wise men who play chess. Right? We want to move away from that. Introduce it as a people's game that everybody can play. I think there's a guy in Barbados who left here during Ivan. I think he attended GBSS. He was in GBSS. Sorry? Umari Tika. A guy by the name of Umari Tika. And he's the one who went on to become the champion in Barbados.
The junior champ.
The junior champ in Barbados. So he left here. Barbados has a more structured chess. There are way in advance of us. We have good relations.
And in 2 years, he became
Yes.
the junior.
2 years, he became the junior champ in Barbados.
But he returned to attend GBSS. He lives in Spain.
Spain,
He
yes.
did a degree in Germany.
Right.
We have a question from there.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
You
Yes.
spoke about the blind, being blindfolded and a blind child in chess. Do you had any experience with persons with other challenges? I've heard about primary school and secondary school. I represent special needs, the usually forgotten group. So I really do hope that we are put on board, because one of our schools contact with us, the teachers, we could get that going, as you said. So my question to you, Leontxo, is what is your experience, if any, with other children with challenges or disabilities playing chess?
I can tell you about several groups of different disabilities or special needs. For instance, ADHD. We have scientific evidence. There is a study published in English and in Spanish. Those children with ADHD who are moderate, I mean not very serious, can replace drugs, I mean medicines, by chess. With the most serious cases, you have to combine both. And this study suits very well or confirms my own personal experience. A lot of mothers and parents of ADHD children from different countries, I mean, they don't know each other, told me practically the same sentence for half an hour is when he plays chess. We have tried with other possibilities and it doesn't work. With chess, it works. About autism, I think that with autism and Asperger, the main reason of why chess works so well is that for a person with autism, chess allows him or her to express the creativity, their personality, without touching somebody and without talking to somebody, which is very important for this kind of people. Then once you have played several chess games with this kind of persons, somehow you have broken the first barrier, psychological barrier. And then the conventional communication is easier. For high IQ children, chess is an infinite challenge. A sentence from Socrates, the Greek philosopher, I only know I know nothing, which means the most I know, the most I realize I need to learn, right? Well, chess is a clear demonstration of that. Why? I'm going to be very concrete now. The number of different is bigger than the number of atoms in the universe. The number of atoms is 1 followed by 80 zeros, and the number of different possible games is 1 followed by 123 if chess is your passion, because you can always get something more difficult to solve. So for high IQ children, chess is ideal. Well, if they like it, of course. If they don't like it, you have to look for something else. But if they tendency to violence, as you mentioned, right? Yeah. Chess is working very well in prisons and in prisons for young people as well. Why? What I'm going to tell you now, okay, when I am saying that, don't think only about criminals. think in general about any kind of people, because those ideas were given to me by an inmate who was classified as very dangerous when he arrived in a Spanish prison. But thanks to chess, he
rehabilitated.
Okay.
Transformed.
He became a model of good behavior for other inmates. And the reasons he gave me were, every hour we spend playing chess inside goes much faster than any other hour. And during that hour, we are not thinking on something negative as how to get drugs. First idea. Second idea, chess is ideal for us because it makes us thinking about the consequences. I personally add a third idea. I think that every human being has a tendency to violence. Could be bigger or smaller, but all of us have some tendency to violence. Now, chess is a war with no blood. Chess, which is actually a very aggressive game psychologically, you are taking out your tendency to violence. And that's why when, for instance, I visited a prison in Spain, a prison for young people, I gave for chess lessons, the local week chess lessons, and 6 months later, somebody sent me the official report from the professional psychologist working in that center. Every 3 or 4 months they were reporting. In that report, they said since the general atmosphere in the center has improved dramatically, the number of fights between inmates, physical fights, has been reduced dramatically. They say hello to each other, they shake hands every morning now, but they didn't do that before starting to play chess, and so on. I think those ones are good enough.
Yes. Actually, FIDE, the Team International Chess Federation, they organize these different competitions. And in October, there's a competition, international competition among prisoners. It's in October. So Leontxo will be going in tomorrow, into the prison tomorrow, to make a presentation to prison officers and inmates. Because actually I got a call today from the prison that there are quite a few of the inmates interested in chess. And I'm not too sure if they'll let him out, depends on how he behaves. Yes.
I feel always very well when I am visiting prisons, so no problem.
So we're actually doing that, and you know, it's interesting, the point that was made about the blind. When I called the National Council for the Disabled, was then I discovered the drafts, for example. Apparently they play, a group of them play drafts, and those are, you know, blind, but you play drafts, you play chess on the same draft board. So it is quite possible you can play drafts, then you know the moves, the diagonal, whatever moves, you can actually, for the chess knobs, you can feel it and know which knob is, which is the castle, which is the knight. And the pawns are small, represent which, the name of each knob and the color. So if they can play and they know how to move and to the other side to play drafts, then it should not be a problem. It's a matter of learning the game.
Is there a special chess set for blind?
Yes.
Because in the
Yes,
first,
you can see.
It's okay, right? We'll be in touch.
You see, every square has a hole, and every piece has something down to insert it in the hole.
right. How do they distinguish color?
Because of the knobs, the president was saying. Have something on the top.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like a little
Okay,
iron
yeah,
marble.
a little
The clock is also special. You can touch the clock. And there is one rule that is not applicable to blind people, which is in normal chess, when you touch a piece, you are obliged to move it, but not for that.
Yeah, right.
They can touch as many pieces as they want. Related to this, there is a big difference between blind people who have been born blind and blind people by accident later on. The first ones do not need to touch the pieces, but the second ones are touching the pieces very often.
Explain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Knows, right?
this is related to the difference between photographic memory and logical memory. Photographic memory is a very, very rare skill that only one person every several millions have. But chess develops very much logical thinking regarding patrons and templates. For instance, if Carlyle tells me right now, Indovenoni defense with the black bishop in g4, automatically I am seeing in my brain 30 pieces, because this is an 12 or 13 moves, we have a certain position. For me, this description allows me to see 30 pieces. In my brain, all 30 pieces are occupying only one unit of memory. But if I show you this position physically now in a chessboard here, as you are not chess players, you will need 30 units of memory to remember, to memorize this position. Because I am using patrons and templates, and you are not, because you are not a chess player. So the blind people who have been born blind have developed a lot on that.
If I may add to it, my experience with them is that because they were born blind, as we know locally, your other senses compensate for what you're lacking. So it comes sort of naturally to them, those who were born blind, other senses. As simple as that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting remark. Yeah.
Right. But before we go, I wanted to find out how many teachers you have at special ed? 13 teachers? 1, 3. Yeah. At teaching the teachers?
And I'm thinking of it for ancillary staff.
Yeah, ancillary staff.
Everybody. So we can have for
Yes,
Yes. I was asking if we could prioritize special ed.
Yes, of course.
Right. So we get the special ed first. What I wanted to find out from SAS. Yeah. There's a gentleman called Lloyd that used to leave St. Andrews and come and help us teach the children in Goa. And he was I have his name, I only know him as Lloyd. Yeah, he was with us last night at the Olympic House. So what I want to do, he was trying to get Progress Park Pavilion, and if you get furniture there to teach the children on Saturdays. So because there's several schools in St. Andrews, I was wondering we could use SAS. I prefer a school because the furniture is there, so we just come with the boards. Yeah. And So and you mobilize other teachers, because we'd like to teach the teachers first. Yeah, we'd like to teach the teachers first, because you would be more than chess players. Than chess players going to teach children. Yeah, your skill is broader than the typical chess player. So that way the game remains in the school. But if it stays with just the children, eventually it goes. And that's what happens when you have only student-led clubs. Eventually when they leave, chess dies slowly with the last batch. In the case of so we could go that route. I'll put him in touch with you, and we fix a time. I promised him boards, so you might have more than 2 boards. I promised him, because I appreciated him so much. He is to see the little kids learning and anxious to learn. In the case of St. Patrick's, I was wondering if we could combine with McDonald College. We could still do it at your school or wherever is more convenient. Whichever is more convenient. Contact us. Again, get a group of teachers, 3, 4, 5 from each school, and it may be more than 1 session. The first is introductory. You learn the pieces, how to set up the board, but with 1 more, you should be able to take it. And Jenna was telling me he has a program for the kids, or even the teachers that would like to develop the game more, a computer program. It takes you from basic and takes you level by level. So if you have a laptop or a desktop, you could put it in and continue. So if we get that for St. Andrews, that for St. Patrick's, in the case of St. David, we make a similar request. If we come into St. David, we want to do more than 1 school. So if you get St. David's Catholic,
Central.
You bring a couple teachers from other schools, and we introduce the game and leave a few sets. We have 1 session, 2 sessions. By session 3, we just come in and look at you. And then you involve the students. Once you get it going. What school you're? Grand Roy. Now, as I feel sad, I knew it was Grand Roy. I feel sad because I tried to get the staff in St. Peter's and Anglican School, and both principals says the teachers are not interested. And I know if that was because of the dog salary. I don't know, they released the dog salary.
Yes.
Yeah, try again.
Right. So what I want to do, I want you to invite the teachers from Florida, Guelph, and the Twin Guelph. I want to come to Grand Roy. And teach the teachers. Introduce it, leave a few boards. I think your number. But invite them and tell us when we can come. I want to come to your school.
You can contact us via this email, Leontxo, all one word, at gmail.com.
Yes. And we're going to try to get a dedicated number once, a dedicated phone number.
You can volunteer a temporary one.
Yes.
I'll put Siboney Chamber.
Yes, and put just put 440 2707 2707, right? And ask for Ronisha, Ronisha. Yes, Siboney, Ronisha.
As the contact person for.
Yeah.
Right. So the top number belongs to Mr. Amen Tamsisi, and the bottom number as Ruggles President's Assistant. So I think we clear Boca was done for a visit, but they have construction going on. But whenever he's ready, we would kick in. And you were which one school you were?
Wesley College.
Wesley College. We need to get engaged with Wesley College. Yes. But together with another school. But when we're doing Boca, we'd invite Wesley College. I think that was the plan. Invite Wesley College when we're doing Boca.
Any final comments?
Yeah, this is all voluntary, by the way. The Ghanaian Chess Federation is a voluntary organization, so we work in voluntary with everyone.
Right.
It's registered as a. It's formally registered.
Which school?
And we
Mr. Lane, which school? Well, I hope you come around with us when we go in and introduce the games. Yeah, I'd remind you, you know. Yeah, so we want to thank our brother Leontxo. Yeah, wonderful man, wonderful spirit, as you recognize. Yeah. What his visit has done, he had a very interesting meeting at the Ministry of Education. They're excited because the Chief Educational Officer plays chess. I'm supposed to drop a board there for her today. So all the staff members said they will be lining up so she could teach him, and she says, yes, I will teach you. In a master's thesis, and chess analogies in a master's thesis, and she was congratulated for it, and so she speaks about chess with a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm. I'm really looking forward to working with a Chief Education Officer like that. Permanently in our office, yeah, donated by the Grenada Chess Federation. So that created a third front for chess, yes, that everybody in the Ministry of Education knows and plays chess. That's thanks to Leontxo. We thank Leontxo for that. Yeah.
For me, it has been really very interesting this time with you because your questions were very interesting and very inspiring for me as well. So thank you very much.
Yes. The other two lines is what we are speaking about now: chess as a sport in school, extracurricular activity, chess clubs. But separate and apart from that is chess as an educational tool. And we'll be working with the ministry to see if we could get Leontxo to come back to do workshops with a selected group of teachers, where how the cross-cutting, the interdisciplinary nature, introducing chess in other fields, yeah, how that could be sort of started here, yeah, because we have to take it and run, but he comes with trained personnel, and he said once he have one workshop, subsequent workshops could be virtual. He just like to do the first one in person, and then subsequent would be virtual. So that's the sort of longer term, but the more fruitful his longer term version would be is the more clubs we get going, the more fruitful his longer term version would be. You can easily adapt it, persons will understand it easier because it wouldn't be a strange concept, a strange phenomenon. So, Leontxo, I hope you're enjoying Grenada. We know we're working your hard.
I'm good.
Yeah. I hope your wife forgive us. Blame the Federation.